Sometimes we do not even notice that our heart is closed. We go through our day, speaking with others, doing our work, and maybe even laughing. But deep inside, there is a quiet tension. Something feels guarded. We may not feel fully connected to the people around us, or even to ourselves. This is what a closed heart can feel like. A closed heart is not something bad. It is not a failure. It is something that happens naturally when we have experienced pain, disappointment, or loss. The heart, like the body, learns to protect itself. When we touch something hot, we pull our hand away. In the same way, when we feel hurt, we close up inside. We try not to feel too much. We try not to get too close. This is a way the heart protects us. But over time, this protection can become a habit. We stop noticing that our heart is closed. We forget what it feels like to be open, warm, and soft inside. And this can make life feel a little cold or lonely, even when we are with others. Understanding this is the first step. We must see clearly what is happening inside us. We must become aware of the places where we feel tight or closed, not to judge them, not to fix them, but simply to notice. It can be helpful to ask ourselves small, gentle questions. Where am I holding back? Is there someone I'm afraid to really see? Is there a part of myself I'm turning away from? These questions are not to find quick answers. They are like soft lights, showing us the shape of our inner life. The heart is very sensitive, and that is a beautiful thing. But it also means we must treat it with great care. We do not force it open. We do not demand that it change. Instead, we begin by understanding. We begin by seeing what is true, just as it is. This is the beginning of opening, simply seeing the closed heart with kindness, not trying to make it different, just seeing it clearly and letting it be seen. It is very natural for us to protect ourselves, especially when we have been hurt before. We learn from our experiences. If someone we trusted betrayed us, or if someone we loved left us, our heart remembers. And it says, "Be careful next time." This is not weakness. It is part of being human. Emotional pain can feel just as strong as physical pain, sometimes even stronger. A sharp word, a cold silence, a look of rejection, these can stay in our hearts for a long time. So, the heart builds small walls. Sometimes we do not even notice them, but they are there, helping us avoid what might hurt. We may start to avoid certain people, or we speak in ways that feel safe, but not real. We may smile, but inside we are distant. We think, if I don't care too much, I won't be hurt again. This is a kind of armor. It may protect us from pain, but it also keeps out joy, love, and connection. Our mind also joins in this protection. It creates stories. It tells us who is safe and who is not. It says, "Don't trust too easily," or "Keep your feelings to yourself." These stories can become very strong, and we start to live inside them instead of living fully in the present. But what we must remember is this: protecting ourselves is not wrong. It is not something to fight. It comes from a deep wish to be safe. When we understand this, we can start to relax. We don't need to tear down all the walls at once. We can just begin to see them. We can say, this is how I protect my heart. Thank you for trying to keep me safe. When we thank the heart for protecting us, it feels respected. And slowly, it begins to soften. We do not need to rush. We only need to be honest. Each time we notice our own defenses, we have a chance to meet them with kindness. This is how the process begins, not with pushing, but with understanding, with respect for our own need to feel safe, and with the quiet courage to begin opening, little by little. When we talk about a closed heart, we often speak in images. One common image is a wall. a wall around the heart. This wall is not made of stone or wood. It is made of thoughts, fears, and past experiences. But even if we cannot see it, we can feel it. It is there when we hold back our feelings. It is there when we pretend to be fine, even when we are not. These walls are built slowly, over time. Sometimes we build them without even knowing. A harsh word from a parent, a deep loss, a moment of shame in childhood. We may not remember each event clearly, but our heart remembers the feeling. And to protect itself, it begins to close, just a little. One moment at a time. We build walls in many different ways. Some people become very quiet. They hide their true thoughts. Others may talk a lot, but never speak from the heart. Some people stay busy all the time, so they do not have to feel what is inside. And some become angry or cold, not because they do not care, but because caring feels dangerous. It is important to understand. These walls are not our enemy. They were built to help us. They were trying to protect something soft and precious inside. But as time goes on, we can become trapped behind our own walls. We begin to feel alone, even in the middle of a crowd. We wonder why others cannot reach us, or why we feel separate from life. The first step is to notice, not to judge, not to feel guilty, just to notice. Ah, I am holding back here. Ah, I am afraid to speak the truth. Ah, I feel safer when I hide this part of myself. These small moments of noticing are very powerful. Each one is like a small window in the wall. As we notice more, we begin to see how much effort it takes to keep the walls in place. It is tiring to always protect. It is tiring to hide. And when we become tired, we are ready to soften. We do not need to tear everything down. We only need to let in a little light. Step by step, we begin to live more openly. Not because the world is always safe, but because our heart is ready to breathe again. Fear does not always appear loudly. Often it moves quietly, like a shadow. We may not call it fear. We may call it stress, discomfort, or even just not feeling like talking. But many times, fear is sitting quietly underneath. When we speak with someone, we want to feel accepted. We want to feel understood. But if we have been hurt before, even small moments can feel risky. A long pause, a certain tone of voice, or a look that feels cold, these things can make our heart pull back. Even before we understand why, we may already feel a little more distant. Fear often shows up as small habits. We interrupt someone before they finish because silence feels uncomfortable. We say it's fine when it's not, because honesty feels too exposed. We keep our feelings shallow because deep waters feel unsafe. None of this is bad. It is simply what we learn to do in order to stay safe. In conversations, fear can also make us overthink. We may wonder, did I say the wrong thing? Or, do they think less of me now? These thoughts may seem small, but over time, they wear down our sense of connection. We become less present, more guarded. And when both people are guarding themselves, real connection becomes difficult. Sometimes fear makes us try to control the situation. We speak more than we need to, just to fill the space. Or we try to make others like us, even if it means hiding parts of who we are. But true openness does not come from control. It comes from allowing things to unfold, even when we are not sure what will happen next. Recognizing how fear shapes our words, our silence, and our reactions is a gentle practice. We do not try to push fear away. Instead, we can say, I see you. We notice the tightness in the chest, the tension in the jaw, the need to protect. And with that awareness, we can choose a new way. just a little space, just a little more honesty, just a breath before we speak. These small shifts create a new pattern, one where we are not ruled by fear, but gently aware of it. And from that awareness, our heart begins to relax. This is how openness grows, not through force, but through seeing clearly and responding with care. When we want to open our heart, we may wonder what we should do. But the heart does not open through effort alone. It opens when it feels safe, when it feels seen, and when it is met with gentle attention. Gentle attention is different from focus or concentration. It is soft. It does not try to change or fix anything. It simply notices, with kindness. Imagine how you would look at a small child who is scared or upset. You would not shout or push or demand. You would sit close, stay quiet, and let them know you are here. That is the kind of attention the heart understands. When we bring this attention to ourselves, something begins to shift. We might notice a heavy feeling in the chest. We might feel a tightness in the stomach. We may feel sadness, or anger, or even nothing at all. Whatever is there, we just say quietly, "Yes, I see you." No judgment, no rush. This kind of attention is powerful because it allows things to come into the light. Much of our pain stays strong because we ignore it or try to push it away. But when we stop and give it space, it begins to soften. It does not need to fight anymore. It has been seen. We can also bring gentle attention into our relationships. When someone speaks to us, we listen, not just to their words, but to what is beneath the words. We listen with our whole being. We do not plan what to say next. We do not try to solve their problems. We simply offer our full, kind presence. In this way, even simple conversations become a space for healing. The other person feels safe, not because we give advice, but because we are truly there with them. And we begin to feel safer too, because we are no longer pretending. We are present and real and open, even just a little. Gentle attention does not make problems disappear, but it creates a space where real change becomes possible. It invites the heart to open in its own time, in its own way. And when the heart opens like this, it does not close again so easily. To live with gentle attention is to walk through life with soft eyes, seeing clearly but kindly. And that is where true openness begins. Many people think that opening the heart means doing something big or dramatic. They believe they must tear down walls, change their personality, or suddenly become more emotional. But the heart does not respond well to force. It responds to patience. It responds to respect. Trying to force the heart open is like trying to open a flower by pulling its petals. You may be able to open it, but it will not be natural. It will not last. The flower opens on its own when the sun is warm enough, when the air feels safe. In the same way, our heart opens when the conditions are gentle. Sometimes we hear people say, "Just open your heart." But this can feel confusing or even painful. What if we don't know how? What if it feels dangerous? The truth is, we don't need to push ourselves. We don't need to be open all at once. It is enough to notice small moments when the heart softens, just a little. Maybe it's a quiet moment in the morning. Maybe it's seeing someone smile. Maybe it's a memory that brings tears to your eyes. These are moments when the heart begins to open naturally. All we need to do is notice them and allow them to be. Some days, the heart feels more closed. That's okay too. There is no need to pretend. The path to openness is not a straight line. It moves in and out like the breath. When we accept this rhythm, we stop struggling against ourselves. We begin to trust the process. We can also support the heart by creating simple moments of peace. Time in nature, Time alone, without distraction, gentle conversations, a quiet walk. These things are not magic, but they create space. And in that space, the heart may begin to stretch, to breathe, to feel. If we try to open ourselves too quickly, we may feel even more afraid. But if we allow the heart to open slowly, in its own time, we build something real, something deep, something that stays open, even when life is difficult. So we do not rush, we do not demand. We wait, gently. We listen. And in this quiet waiting, we find a different kind of strength, the kind that does not need to force, because it trusts the wisdom of the heart. Most people think of listening as something we do with our ears. We hear the words, we understand the meaning, and we respond. But when the heart is open, listening becomes something deeper. We begin to hear not only what is said, but also what is not said. When someone speaks to us, their words carry more than information. They carry feeling. They carry hopes, fears, and sometimes pain. But these things are not always spoken directly. They are hidden in the tone of voice, the pauses, the look in the eyes. If we are only listening for the words, we might miss what really matters. To listen with the heart, we must become still inside. Not empty, but calm. We must be willing to pause our own thoughts for a moment. Not to agree or disagree. Not to fix, but just to be present. This kind of listening is like sitting beside a stream. You do not try to change the water. You simply watch it flow, and in time, you begin to understand its movement. When we listen beyond words, people feel it. Even if we say nothing, they feel seen. They feel accepted. They feel safe. And in that safety, something begins to open. They may speak more honestly. They may smile more easily. They may even say things they didn't know they were carrying. We can also learn to listen to ourselves in this way, not just to our thoughts, but to the quiet feelings underneath, a sense of unease, a wish to be understood, a longing we cannot name. These are the whispers of the heart. When we take the time to notice them, we begin to live with more depth, more care. This kind of listening takes practice. It is not always easy. Sometimes we feel impatient. Sometimes we are too busy or tired. That is okay. We do not need to be perfect. Each time we remember to listen deeply, we are returning to the heart. In a world full of noise, deep listening is a rare and precious gift. It connects us to others. It connects us to ourselves. And it slowly teaches the heart that it is safe to open, because someone is truly here. Not just hearing the words, but listening to the silence between them. It is easy to love people when they act the way we want, when they speak kindly, agree with us, or make us feel good. Our heart opens naturally. But what happens when they don't? What happens when someone is difficult, different, or even hurtful? In these moments, our heart often closes, and we try to protect ourselves. That is natural. But if we look deeper, we may also see something else, the wish to change the other person. This wish to change others often comes from a good place. We think, if they were different, things would be easier. Or, if they could just understand me better, we would get along. But behind this is a kind of tension, a feeling that things are not okay as they are. And this tension closes the heart. Real openness begins with acceptance. Not just accepting the people who are easy to love, but also those who challenge us. This does not mean we agree with everything they say or do. It does not mean we allow harm. But it means we let go of the need to control them. We let go of the idea that they must change for us to feel at peace. When we stop trying to change others, we create space. In that space, something soft appears. Respect. We begin to see that each person is on their own path. Each one carries their own pain, their own history, their own lessons. We may not understand it, but we can choose to meet it with kindness. This kind of acceptance takes strength. It is not passive. It is not weakness. It is the strength of being able to stay open, even when things are not easy, even when we are hurt, or confused, or disappointed. Sometimes when we accept someone as they are, something beautiful happens. They feel it. They feel seen, not judged. And from that place, they may begin to grow. Not because we pushed them, but because they felt safe enough to change on their own. Accepting others without needing to change them is a quiet act of love. It tells the heart, it is safe to be here. It is safe to let others be who they are. And that message begins to soften the places inside us that have been tight for a long time. This is how the heart stays open, even in the face of difference. There are times when we want to open our heart, but something inside says, be careful. Maybe we've been hurt before. Maybe we feel unsure about the other person. Or maybe we are not even sure why. But something feels unsafe. In those moments, openness can feel risky. This feeling is not wrong. It is a signal. It tells us that the heart remembers past pain and wants to protect itself. Sometimes people say, you should open your heart no matter what. But that is not always wise. True openness does not ignore fear. It includes it. It listens to the fear and responds with care. When openness feels risky, we can begin by being honest with ourselves. Yes, I feel afraid right now. Yes, I want to stay quiet. Yes, I'm not ready to share. These small truths are important. They create a safe space inside. We do not have to push. We only have to notice. It's also helpful to remember that openness is not all or nothing. We do not need to open everything at once. We can open just a little. A small smile, a kind word, a gentle thought. Even small acts of openness can change how we feel. And if something feels too hard, it's okay to wait. The heart has its own timing. Sometimes the risk is not about others. It is about ourselves. We may fear what will happen if we feel too much. We may fear sadness, or anger, or tenderness. These feelings can be strong, but they are also part of being alive. When we allow them to come and go, like waves on the shore, they begin to feel less scary. If you feel the heart closing, you don't need to fight it. You can simply ask, what would help me feel safe right now? Maybe it's quiet. Maybe it's being alone. Maybe it's talking to someone you trust. Taking care of the heart is part of opening it. Real openness is not about being fearless. It is about meeting fear with gentleness. It is about saying, I see you, fear. You are part of this too. And in doing that, we create a heart that is not only open, but also wise. In time, the heart learns that it can open even when things feel uncertain. Not all at once, but slowly, carefully, and with deep respect for its own journey. Many people think that being strong means never showing weakness. They believe that strength means staying in control, hiding emotions, and never asking for help. But when we live this way, our heart becomes tight, it becomes hard, and it becomes lonely. True strength is something different. It does not come from hiding. It comes from being honest, from being open, from allowing ourselves to be seen, not just in our success, but also in our struggle. This is what we call vulnerability. Vulnerability is not weakness. It takes great courage to say, I don't know, or I'm hurting, or I need support. These words open the heart. They invite connection. They allow others to come closer. And when we do this wisely, with care, we begin to feel something new, the strength of being real. Of course, vulnerability feels risky. We do not know how others will respond. They may not understand. They may even turn away. But if we always hide, we lose the chance to be fully known. And to be truly known is one of the deepest human needs. The key is to be gentle with ourselves. We do not need to share everything with everyone. We can choose when and with whom to be open. A safe friend, a quiet moment, a small truth. These are the places where we can begin. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, something changes inside. The weight we carry becomes lighter. The walls around the heart begin to soften, and we start to see that we are not alone. Others also feel fear, pain, and uncertainty. In our openness, we give them permission to be open too. This is how real connection is built, not through perfection, but through honesty, through saying, "This is who I am today." And when others accept us in that place, we feel stronger. Not because we are hiding, but because we are standing in our truth. Strength is not in the armor. It is in the courage to lay the armor down, to say, even if I am not perfect, I am worthy of love. Even if I am hurting, I still belong. In this way, vulnerability becomes a doorway, a quiet path toward a life that is softer, deeper, and more open than we ever imagined. In our daily lives, we often move from one thing to the next without stopping. There are messages to answer, tasks to finish, people to talk to. The world around us is fast, and we feel we must keep up. But when we live this way all the time, something quiet inside us gets lost. The heart becomes distant, and we forget what it feels like to truly notice. Stillness is not just the absence of movement. It is a space where we can finally hear what has been waiting within us. It is not about doing nothing. It is about doing less, with presence. When we give ourselves even a few minutes of stillness, something begins to change. In stillness, we begin to notice what is really happening inside. The small thoughts we usually ignore, the emotions that rise and fall, the way our body feels, tired or tight or calm. These details are easy to miss when we are always rushing, but in stillness, they become clear. We also begin to notice what is around us in a new way. The sound of the wind, the warmth of sunlight on the skin, the way someone's voice changes when they're feeling unsure. Stillness helps us see with fresh eyes, not only the outside world, but also the world within. For the heart, stillness is like water for a dry tree. It nourishes, it softens, it helps what is hidden come to the surface. And when the heart feels this kind of gentle attention, it begins to trust again. It begins to open. Stillness also teaches us patience. In quiet moments, we learn that we don't need to react right away. We can wait. We can breathe. And in that space between action and reaction, we often find a deeper truth. You don't need hours of silence to feel stillness. Just a few moments can be enough. Sitting quietly before a meal, turning off the phone for 5 minutes, taking a slow breath before speaking. These small choices help create a life where the heart is more awake. The more we allow stillness into our day, the more we begin to notice. And the more we notice, the more open we become. Not because we are trying to open, but because we are finally giving ourselves the space to feel what is real. Many people think of love as a feeling, something warm, soft, and sometimes romantic. But love is not only a feeling. It can also be a way of seeing, a way of looking at the world and at each person we meet with openness and care. When we see with love, we look beyond the surface. We don't just see what someone says or does, we see their intention, their struggle, their humanity. We remember that each person, like us, is trying to find their way through life. Even when someone is angry or cold, we can ask ourselves, what might they be carrying? This question shifts the way we see. Seeing with love does not mean ignoring harm or pretending everything is okay. It means choosing to look deeper, to see the part of someone that wants to be accepted, even if they don't know how to show it. This kind of vision softens our judgment. It brings us closer, not because we agree, but because we care. We can also turn this way of seeing toward ourselves. Often, we are harder on ourselves than we are on anyone else. We focus on what we lack, what we did wrong, or how we should be better. But love, as a way of seeing, says, you're already enough. You're already worthy. It does not mean we stop growing. It means we grow from a place of kindness, not shame. In everyday life, this shift in seeing can be very simple. Looking someone in the eyes when they speak, noticing the effort behind their words, offering a silent wish for their well-being. These small acts bring love into the moment, not as a big emotion, but as a steady presence. Love as a way of seeing is quiet. It is not loud or dramatic, but it changes how we move through the world. It helps us listen more deeply, speak more gently, and forgive more easily. And the more we practice it, the more natural it becomes. When our vision is guided by love, the heart does not have to work so hard to open. It opens on its own, like a window catching the morning light. It opens because it feels safe, and because it remembers what truly matters. To see with love is to live with a heart that is soft, awake, and free. Openness is not just something we feel during special moments. It is something we can bring into ordinary daily life. We don't need to wait for perfect conditions. We can begin exactly where we are, while washing dishes, walking to the store, or speaking with a neighbor. Each moment is a chance to live with a more open heart. A daily life rooted in openness does not mean being happy all the time. It means being real. It means allowing ourselves to feel what is present. Joy, sadness, confusion, peace, without turning away. When we live this way, life becomes fuller, even if it is not always easy. One way to live with openness is to slow down just a little. When we move more slowly, we begin to notice things we missed before. The sound of birds outside, the way someone's hand trembles slightly, the feeling in our chest when we hear a kind word. These small details connect us to the moment and to each other. Another way is to speak with more honesty, not in a harsh way, but in a gentle way. Saying, "I'm feeling tired today," or "that meant a lot to me," opens the door for others to meet us in that space. And when they do, the connection becomes deeper, more human. There are also moments when it's hard to be open, when we feel irritated, hurt, or rushed. In these times, it helps to pause and ask, what would openness look like right now? Sometimes it's as simple as taking a breath. Sometimes it's choosing to listen instead of react. Sometimes it's stepping away to take care of ourselves before returning with a softer heart. Living with openness does not mean we become perfect. It means we stay connected to ourselves, to others, and to the flow of life. Even when we close, we can open again. Even when we forget, we can return. Over time, this way of living becomes natural, not forced, not planned, just a quiet, steady way of being. The heart learns that it can trust life, even when life is uncertain. It learns that openness is not something we perform. It is something we live. And in this daily living, moment by moment, we create a life that is spacious, kind, and deeply alive. As we come to the end of this reflection, I hope something gentle has touched your heart. We have spoken about fear, protection, stillness, and the quiet strength of being open. None of these are things we master quickly. They are part of a lifelong path, a path that moves through joy and sorrow, closeness and distance, light and shadow. To live with a soft and open heart is not always easy. The world can be fast, noisy, and sometimes harsh. But even in such a world, it is possible to live differently. It is possible to move with care, to speak with truth, and to see others, not with judgment, but with warmth. Openness is not a fixed state. It comes and goes, like the tide. There will be days when the heart feels wide and welcoming, and there will be days when it feels tight or tired. This is natural. We do not need to fight it. We only need to meet each moment with honesty, with kindness, with the quiet willingness to begin again. A soft heart is not a fragile heart. It is strong in a different way. It can hold pain without becoming bitter. It can hold joy without needing to grasp it. It can stay open, even when the world feels uncertain. This kind of strength is not loud, but it is deep, and it lasts. If you have taken the time to listen, I want to thank you. Your presence here is meaningful. Whether you have been with me through each part, or just this one, I am grateful that you chose to spend a few moments together in this shared space. To those who have left kind comments, supported this channel with likes, super thanks, or simply shared these words with others, please know your kindness does not go unnoticed. It is deeply appreciated. Each small gesture helps keep this quiet space alive. If these reflections have spoken to something in you, I welcome you to stay connected. There is no pressure, only an open invitation, a space where the heart can rest, reflect, and slowly open again. May you walk gently. May your days hold peace. And may your heart remain soft, even when the road feels hard. Thank you truly for being here.